Specialist in oil and energy affairs, Amer Shobaki. Thank you very much for coming on Q News with us. So, what do we expect these sanctions, Iran, the extra sanctions, to have on global oil markets?
In the name of Allah, I think American step came in a time that the oil prices are taken, that went down to unprecedented levels since 2021. Therefore, the loss of 1.8 million barrels of the Iranian export that were supplied in the market, most of them went into the Iranian market, and certainly that would make the supply shorter, that made the prices to hike to about 2% in this day, with strengthening the sanctions on the Iranian oil, particularly the teapot Chinese refineries. And of course, they were private sector refineries, but and that was actually disseminated throughout the Chinese market.
And what do you make of the US targeting China's teapot refineries? Do you think this could escalate tensions between Washington and Beijing even further?
Yes, I think it is a double blow. Once in a hand, that the pressure upon Iran to reach a solution of dismantling the nuclear program of Iran, and from the other hand, as you mentioned, the pressure in China, that the beneficiary of buying the low, cheap Iranian oil. So in a pressure point against China, and China is about to lose the Russian oil that is cheap if the sanctions are from Russia. And I think it is a great pressure on the Iranian economy that will go in parallel with the previous pressures, where Iran has lost its currency, has lost half of its value since the government of Pezeshkian 1 year ago. The Iranian Rial, or $1 is equivalent to 1,039,000 Rial. Maybe even in 2024 was about the $50. Due to the inflation rate that reached 40%, there is a greater pressure upon the Iranian economy, and successive pressure with respect to the tariffs or the importing cheap oil for the Chinese consumption.
And do you think Trump has some kind of strategy here? Do you think he might be trying to influence by tightening supply?
I think that Trump's policy, as is taking a very sophisticated strategy to maintain the oil prices, to keep it low for the American citizens, and we see that the gasoline prices is lowering down, and as he's proud of, and in the meantime is pressuring upon countries that might or that used to affect the prices in the past. These pressures that we witness in Iran with the military against Iran, even if it was in the past, before the arrival of Trump into the office, and his policies in imposing tariffs, as well as maybe frozen the world economy or a threat of recession. So we might have noticed that the oil price from $80 to $90 per barrel, but we still see that the oil price is affordable around $65. In addition to the role of OPEC, that assistance of offering more of supply as we OPEC countries to pump 41% of the supply.
So how is Iran managing to bypass sanctions, and how important are these third-party intermediaries and yuan-based transactions?
All the Iranian oil, in fact, was sold through the bypassing the sanctions. We're talking about the former US President Biden that eased the tightening of the sanctions, that Iran found several means of bypass, such as Oman and the Iraq intermediaries, along with the refineries that buy the oil from China. So as they are affiliated to companies that do not pay much attention to imposed sanctions, many times Iran has most of which is to the sanctions. But if the US wishes to more tighten the Iranian oil, it might shortage the Iranian supply in a larger scale that might reach to 80% of the current production will be lost or will be taken from the market.
Well, thank you very much for joining us here on Q News. Amer Shobaki, an economist and specialist in oil and energy, joining us from Oman.